Hi, welcome back to the Barnstable County Beekeepers Association Apiary in beautiful Barnstable, Massachusetts. We're here in mid-November and we want to talk a little bit more about winter preparations. We'd already done a checklist and had you leveling the hives and checking the entrances and putting foam under the covers. Now we're going to talk about a little extra steps, and everything I'm going to talk about today is optional. It all depends on your perception of risk, where your hives are, if you get a good wind block or not, or whether you're exposed to winds out as we are here on the farm. So let's talk about a few extra steps you can take just to ensure that your bees get through winter. So one of the things is, if you already have foam under your outer cover, is to do additional foam. You know, for every inch of foam board that you add, you're adding on another R4 of insulation. So it's just doubling up, if you will, every time you add another inch on. So one of the things you can do is take a shim, or in this case, this was a form of Vivaldi board that somebody might have put some wood chips on here to get rid of moisture. We're really talking about having a hive that's well sealed on top, and what we'd like to do is put some more insulation on. Again, every board you put on, anything facing the bees, I just take a little bit of tin foil and wrap around and attach it with tape. And you can drop that in there, cut it to size. These are easy to cut. You can use just about any cheap saw or utility blade, and you can cut and snap foam, so it's really not a high level of skill type of operation. So got a couple of boards in there. There's another R8 worth of insulation. It's going to help the bees that much more to retain moisture. So this would go under the the outer cover and above the inner cover. And again, put tin foil down so the bees don't perceive this as punky wood and try to eat up into it. All right, so that's one thing you can do in addition to what we talked about already. The other is simply wrap the hive. If you're in a high wind area, and a lot of the Cape is high winds, you can take and get a wrap. And this does not have a high insulation factor. It's really more to block the wind than anything else. So what you do is take this, and it's simply a Velcro wrap, and go around the hive. And it acts as a wind block, a little bit of solar gain on those bright sunny winter days. And again, the wind can't get through this, so the hive isn't being as chilled as it normally would be. Very easy to put on. You simply attach the Velcro on either ends. And voila, you're on. That's it. Okay. This has some tension to it, so you don't really have to worry about the bees getting in and out of the hive. It'll lay across the front of the hive okay. All right. So that's stand up for now. Then the other thing you can do, let me get it. There you go. Thank you. Yep. This is an alternative. It's just another product. It's called a Bee Cozy. And the way it's just simply fiberglass encased in a very heavy duty plastic. I've had this for 6 years now. Looks pretty brand new. So there is one catch on this. I mentioned on the last one you didn't have to do. You do have to start off by, on the hive, taking a 2-inch long screw or nail and putting it just above the entrance. So what that's going to do is be a standoff so that that can't fold down over the entrance. So it'll keep the path clear for the bees to come and go. So you really want to do that. There's a couple of things you have to know about these. There's a seam. Those always go in the front of the hive. Okay, so you're leaving the front of the hive. And then to get it on, there's a little trick. You have to compress it down, almost like taking a beach float and getting the air out of it. And I don't know how this works exactly, other than just compressing the materials, because the air stays in here. But you just press and press it, and then you expand it, pop the cover off, and then just pop down on it and let it rest on the nail in front. You know, and you're done. It does a good job. It's R8 with insulation. Okay, so that will keep keep the drafts off the hive, you know, the wind gusts off the hive, and also add some good installation value to the side. Now, one thing we were talking about doing additional boards, one thing I'd like you to do is consider a ratio, okay? And that is, if you're you know, doing the bare minimum of putting foam board on top of the hive, that's great, but you always want to make sure that you have more foam on top than you do on the sides. In other words, if this is R4, I want to try to double that for the tops and go towards R8, you know. So that's an ideal, it's not exact. So same thing here, this is R8. I'd like to go a little bit deeper than that on as far as insulation. I'm going to show you in a minute how to do that. There's another alternative here. All right. So the other alternative, by the way, this is Reflectix. It's great for the hive all year round. It goes under my inner covers if I'm not feeding, and over them if I am, or double it up if you're not feeding. So that's great stuff to have both summer and winter. But all right, so this is what I call a furnace box. Okay, so what I've done simply is taken the same 1-inch you know, foam board and just made up a little kit out of it. I'll show you what goes into it. So first off, I'll take the same kind of foam board, wrap it because it's going towards the bees and you don't want them buried into your foam. You just take it, cut it to size, and leave about 1 inch or so from the bottom, okay? If you want, you can take push pins just to make sure it stays in place, put one on each side, that's all. And then I'm just taking some, this was spare insulation that had been around when we insulated our basement. It's just a Owens Corning type fiberglass insulation. Drop it in there, okay? And take another board. So all together, it's R13, probably about R20 altogether going on this. So that's ideal, and that's what I do with most of my hives, especially the small ones. I'm afraid might not get to the winter, but you would take this, just leave the inner cover in place, you know, take off the outer cover, put this on, put the outer cover back on it, and you're done. You know, couple good things about this. You know, I found it very effective for getting through the winter. It gets boxes out of my basement, so I'm not storing them for the winter. So that's a great thing too. So that's about it. Great. Hope you have a good winter. Again, the stuff is all optional, but I do encourage you to do it if you're in a high wind area and or a low area that's very damp and the like. This is going to help you get through the winter. All right, we're going to do a demonstration of an oxalic acid dribble. I've got a 50 milliliter applicator here, syringe, and it's already set to go. If you need to find the recipe for making up the dribble itself, the best places are either scientificbeekeeping.com or Better Bee. They both have great resources as far as just mixing it up. So let's get to it. Right. And what I'm going to do is look for the cluster, and I really would like to go, the maximum you can do is the full 50 milliliter syringe. That's the legal limit to how much you can apply to a hive. I've got to say this, I can't say it often enough, this is the single best thing you could do for your bees to get them through winter and into the new year. Because all the phoretic mites are exposed on the bees, and there's no brood for them this time of year. You know, in the November and December, there's no brood for them to hide in, so they're completely exposed. So you get a really good knockdown of mites, and you probably won't see them in the spring and into the early summer. So always check, but this is a great thing to do. So we're gonna get some sugar plates out of the way. And the bees seem to be up in mostly in the upper box. You know what? I'm going to just check the lower box, and really what we're going after is the cluster and see where the most bees are. So I'm going to pull this forward and back, and you're going to look for me, if you would.
Yeah, there and here.
Okay, so we're going to definitely put the top box aside. Okay. And at this point, I think we're done with the oxalic acid strips, the Roxin that we had. So we're going to take the advantage of taking these off. And since there's no brood, the bees aren't particularly susceptible to cold. It's about a 45-degree day, and that's perfect. They're just lightly clustered, and they make a great target for to do it. So I'm going to go in between the seams and put about 5 milliliters per seam. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4 seams of bees here. They're mainly up front. So here we go. And you just want to keep it moving along, just a little stream, a little stream. Notice I'm concentrating between the bars and targeting the bees themselves. That's it. I did 5 milliliters times 4 streams, so that's about 20 milliliters so far. I'm going to put the top box back on. Put in an angle so I don't squish bees. Minimum contact, and then slide into place and give them a chance to get out of the way. Okay, and now I'm going to look and see if there's any on the top. And we've got, you know what? I broke the cluster up. I'd like to keep it together, so I'm putting this the other way around because that's where the bees are in both the top and the bottom box, and you really do want to keep them together. All right. So now I've got another 1, 2, 3 and a half seams there. So let's apply some more oxalic acid. I'll go from left to right, and I'm just targeting the bees. If there's no bees below me, I stop. Not just blindly applying this, I'm actually targeting bees. Okay, just a little here and a little here. All right, I've used a full 50 milliliters. That's it. You don't go any further. Just put it aside and close up. So what I've done is putting the Hyperlife fondant directly on the frames in this case. We've shimmed it so they have enough room to build up from here. So that allows room for the Hyperlife. I'm going to put the revolving board filled with foam on top of that. Okay. And what I'll do is take and put a wrap on. Again, this is one of the Velcro wraps. And there is an up and down on these. If you look at it, the fat part goes down, and then the light trim on the top of it goes towards the top. All right. And it's as easy as just applying 2 strips of Velcro. Just squeeze them together and get it as tight as you can. You want to keep those cold winter breezes out. And there's enough room for the bees to get in and out. That's important to check. Put the outer cover on. And we're done. Just make sure you've got again, for the winter, use a strap if you can. Or bricks if you have them. We all button up for the winter. We'll check in midwinter and see how they're doing.